financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is elder law. You need to plan for the crisis event. Good morning, Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. Pleasure.
Good morning, Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Jim Smasco.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
This is going to be a topic that's your domain.
Yes, it is.
All right, so the lead into the topic, you happen to see it in the news early in the month. Jay Leno's wife, Mavis, she's got advanced dementia. He had to file court papers for a conservatorship for her, which is sad. But the question that you ask and that we want to address here is, why was that necessary? And is there a way to avoid having the problem of having to go to court to file a conservatorship? We all would like the answer to the question of how can we make it so that our loved ones don't end up with advanced stages of dementia? But that's going to be a question that we can't answer and we can't solve. But you would think Jay Leno would have had a comprehensive estate plan.
Well, that was a
you would
question.
have thought Aretha Franklin would have had an estate plan.
Michael Jackson.
I was wondering about
Yes.
that. I was wondering if there's different
Whitney
laws
Houston.
in California that require conservatorship versus just a durable power of attorney. Or is this a case where even the wealthy don't necessarily do what they're supposed to do?
I think it's a case where the wealthy don't do what they're supposed to do. Additionally,
Because you know what, the wealthy are just people like the rest of us.
and people put it off. You know, hey, I don't need it yet. I'm still young. If people don't realize, something bad can happen to them, unexpectedly. And that's why everyone should prepare early. In fact, for my kids, as soon as they turn 18, I have them sign patient advocates and durable power of attorneys.
I did that too.
Just in the off chance
Absolutely.
that they're in an accident or something bad befalls them. So preparation is key. You always should prepare ahead of time.
If I recall correctly, Brian Small said on his daughter's birthday, "Congratulations, honey, sign here."
I did, absolutely.
Did you do it right on the same day?
It was within a week.
I did.
You did it as a quid pro quo for the cake.
Here's your cake, here's
Yeah.
your birthday present, but you don't get it till you sign here and sign here.
That's
Also
good.
for
But
the
it's the right
investment,
thing to do.
also for the little investment accounts I had for them,
Yeah.
I converted them to their own names, but I put my name on as joint, and I had them sign that too. So if they can't
keep
access
control.
it without my knowledge and
Because
control.
you have the password in the.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You have a password for.
I made it easy. I just didn't tell my kids they had money that I
Yeah,
set aside
and
for
they're good kids, and I trust them completely, but we still need that extra level of protection.
So what could Jay and Mavis Leno have done to avoid having to file a conservatorship?
Well, right out of the gate, they should have a patient advocate, which is a document also referred to as a living will, an advance directive, a medical power of attorney that would give Jay or whoever Mavis wanted to appoint to be able to make medical decisions for her if she couldn't make them for herself. And then the durable power of attorney for finances. They could also have a trust, and typically in the trust, the husband and wife are co-trustees, and if they become disabled, there's a mechanism in the trust. Two doctors sign off saying they can't make decisions, then a successor trustee takes over, or the survivor takes over so they can make decisions.
So when we do an estate plan, typically we do a durable power of attorney. We do a healthcare
Yes.
power. The durable power is sometimes immediate.
Correct.
And in fact, I would say more often than not, most couples elect for an immediate power, but sometimes we do a springing power. A springing power says your attorney that you've designated to act on your behalf can only act if you are disabled incapacitated. We usually have, in the opinion of 2 medical doctors.
And for me, I like the blended one, where we do a immediate durable power of attorney for the spouse, and for anybody who's the alternate, whether it be the children or the best friend or the niece or the sister or whatever, that is a springing power of attorney. So that if you're, your spouse may be in your business, know all about your banking, everything, but your kids usually aren't. Not when you're in your 50s, 60s, when you're in your 80s or 90s. Yeah, usually the kids are starting to get involved in the finances with the parents because they need help at that point.
I mean, it's a trust factor. The springing is a protection that says whether it's your spouse or whoever you've designated, they can't just go and empty out your bank account and then you have to chase them for the money.
So if you're a newlywed, have it springing.
Right.
If you're picking your kid who parties like a rock star, have it springing.
Yeah, and if you've been married for a long time but it's not stable, it's springing. But if it's stable and there's no concerns there, you typically go immediate. And that if they had the immediate power of attorney, even or springing, in his case, he would not have had to go to court, assuming California doesn't have a different set of laws, which we all know as lawyers, we learn 2 things in law school. You have every state has the law, and then there's California and Louisiana. They have their own set of laws there.
Absolutely the truest statement, especially Louisiana.
The other problem is, if you go into the court system, it's a public record, so everyone can go look. And that's very private information that's out there.
It's also more controlling. If you have a durable power of attorney, your agent, your attorney, in fact, has the authority to do the things that they need to do, just to do them. If you have a conservatorship, you have to report to the court. You've got to get permission to do certain things, your annual accounting for things, or guardianship. Now,
much more
conservatorship is not the same as a guardianship. One's money and one's your life. The conservatorship deals just with the money. The guardianship deals with your body, your health care, where you live.
Well, he must have been appointed as a guardian as well. If you have advanced stage dementia, you can't act on your behalf.
If he had the patient advocate, he wouldn't need that. Maybe he just needs a conservatorship for the finances.
Yeah, we won't. Can't tell from the article. But it's a sad situation, but it happens all the time. Let's take a break and start focusing on solutions.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Samasco Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, "We'll get through this, we'll get through this."
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Samasco Law got the success they deserved.
Samasco Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, It's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. So we understand the situation with Jay Leno and Mavis, but let me give you a different scenario
Sure.
of planning. I have a client, elderly man in his 80s, in fragile health. He's single. He has 2 children that they live out of state. He's got modest equity in his home, and all of a sudden, he has a normal estate plan. He ends up slumped over his desk, and his assistant comes in and sees him, rushes him to the hospital. They didn't think he was going to make it. They intubated him, but miraculously, he recovered. But even before that, he was already using a walker. So now he's in rehab, and he's actually, his homeland is Africa. So his situation is this. And I talked to him yesterday, on the phone, and he sounded better than the last time I talked to him before he had this incident. But he's saying, I'd like to sell my house, get that money, and then you know what? I think I'm going to go back to my homeland. He's recognizing he's done with work. I'm sitting here saying, well, okay, if he can't make it to Africa, he's in rehab now and Medicare's paying, because Medicare pays as long as you're actively rehabbing for what, 100 days or 90?
100 days.
Okay. But at the end of that period, or earlier if they decide you're no longer a candidate for rehab, then they say you got to go to a nursing home private pay, or you got to go on Medicaid. So I'm trying to think, what do we do in this situation? And this is common, right?
Yeah, it is, and there's a lot of different options. There's assisted living, there's adult foster care, there's bring home caregivers
Let
in
me
the
give you a
home.
predicate.
Sure.
He has virtually zero cash in the bank. He has a car, it's old, and he has maybe $30,000 of credit card debt. Maybe he's got some tax debt, and he hasn't filed tax returns in probably 3-4 years.
Medicaid's a solution for him. He would go to a nursing home, he would apply for Medicaid. Medicaid would take all of his income, but from his income he could pay his health insurance and keep $60 for the necessities of life. Now the problem with that is he has no money to pay the taxes on the house, he has no money to pay the credit cards that we don't care about, there's no money for the insurance on the house, and then it spirals out of control. That's when you need the durable power of attorney, the patient advocate to take care of him.
He has those two things.
So the kids can come in and start making decisions and figuring out what's in his best interest.
So, but he's on Medicaid. He's got the house.
Well, can
You're
you go
allowed
on
to own a house.
But
The problem
they
is,
don't
can
give
he
you the
sell
money
it?
Yes, you can, but Medicaid doesn't give you the funds to pay for the house.
So if he sells the house, the kids sell the house. He's approved for Medicaid. The kids sell the house. What do they have to do with the money?
When he sells the house, he gets over assets. He gets over the $2,000 limit for Medicaid. So then he's back to a private pay situation. So at that point, he needs to find a place to either pay the money to Medicaid for the nursing home care till it's all gone, or find a place that's reasonably priced.
So selling the house is a big problem.
It's a huge problem. If he goes to Africa, where the cost of care, I presume, would be much less, maybe he has family to take care of him, that could be the perfect solution.
But at the end of the day, right now, if you get approved for
But he needs
Medicaid,
to sell the house to finance the cost of getting to Africa.
Correct, and that's allowable.
but you're approved for Medicaid. You're in the nursing home. The house, no one is available to pay the insurance and the property taxes.
Well, his kids are in this case. 'cause
Let's
they would inherit that.
just go
Yeah.
two different. No one's available. The house has to be sold. The money then has to go to the nursing home. Period.
Not necessarily. The money goes to him,
and then he has to private pay.
then he has to private pay.
If he owns the house, he's done a ladybird deed,
He has done it.
and he dies, but the
That just
kids
protects
pay for
against the lien.
the kids pay for the property taxes and insurance for the next 3.5 years, and then he passes away. The house goes to the beneficiaries,
Correct.
and Medicaid gets nothing.
Correct.
So
In
Except-
Michigan. In Michigan.
Right. So the way in this case, I've done a ladybird deed for him, so he has that covered. But it still doesn't cover his predicament of if he needs to sell the house to get the money to go to Africa, he's got to get that all accomplished in a short window of time during this 100 days in which he's waiting for. He's on Medicare, because if he switches to if he has to go into the nursing home, how's he going to fund that? Can he apply for Medicaid, and while he's got a pending sale on the house, he could apply for Medicaid, and then will they let him stay there while the application's pending?
Yes, but as soon as he sells the house, he'll have more than $2,000 of countable assets. And
So
then
if he sells the
then
house,
he's
he
off
needs to then take off and get to Africa.
that month.
all right, what about a little creativity? What if he sells his house, buys his kid's house, and ladybird deeds the kids that house back to the kid? So now all the money's gone, and
Well, he bought the kid's house. That's an asset.
yeah, he's allowed to
but
own
it's
that
still a
house.
house.
Yes, but it has to be your primary residence.
So-
and if he's in the nursing home, it's
It's
not
not
his
his-
primary
So what do we got to do?
residence.
Pick him up, move him out of the nursing home, put him in the house for a
Well,
week, and then
you-
pick
no,
him
no,
up and
your
move him back
primary
out?
residence
We
is
don't
where
wanna
you're living
commit
with
fraud.
it's where you're living with the intent to stay. You get primary residence status on your house that you own when you go into the nursing home. But once you're in the nursing home, you go into the nursing home, you pop out for a week, all of a sudden you buy a mansion, an O.J. Simpson house, and then you go back in the nursing home, you're not going to qualify for Medicaid.
Well, first, Medicaid has limits on how much equity you can have in the house, too, but we never want to commit fraud. And yes, we have done that where they buy into the kid's house.
Say it was fraud.
But he has to have the intent to live there. And if something happens in the future where he has to go in to the nursing home later, that would work.
So we can do it before.
Correct.
We can't do it after.
You
Correct.
get
In other words,
you
which
get
is
credit
why
for
we
creative
need,
thinking.
Which is why we need elder law planning
the tools in place.
before.
So in his case, and then we're coming up to a break, and then in fact,
Sure.
let's take a break. But the question I'm going to ask you at the beginning of the next segment is he positioned correctly?
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Simasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Simasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Simasco Law.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to announce THAV GROSS has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon Building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
All right, so we're back. All right, so Jim, in my guy's situation, is he well positioned for planning? He's already done the Lady Bird deed. He has a completely qualified, appropriately drafted durable power of attorney.
He has the basics. He absolutely has the basics. If we would have known he would have been in this position 5 years in advance, we could have done more planning. So we could have transferred assets out. When you apply for Medicaid, there's a 5-year look back to make sure you don't give any money or assets away. If we would have known this was going to happen 5 years and 1 day before, he could have given the house to the kids then, and then that wouldn't have been an asset and we wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, because then he would have been in a position where the kids could have sold the house and used those proceeds for him to go to Africa, but he didn't know those plans. What about if he'd been married? If he was married, would his situation be a lot easier to deal with?
Absolutely, because the law wants to protect the stay-at-home spouse. The law doesn't protect them very much, but the stay-at-home spouse is allowed to keep the house, a car, a funeral contract, a life insurance policy, roughly half the money up to the first $25,000, $30,000, and half the money up to $155,000.
Oh, that would have covered him fine. The only problem is he's not married, though.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
So is it fair to say Medicaid, the essentials to do Medicaid planning is you need that durable power of attorney in place before the person becomes incapacitated?
Correct.
Then at that point, if they're married, you've got greater flexibility.
Correct.
If they're single, you have less flexibility, but you can preserve some money. But in the single case, if you're single and you can really foresee this problem occurring 5 years down the road, you should do the Medicaid planning 5 years in advance.
Absolutely, and you can't execute any of these legal documents to protect them if they're not competent to begin with.
That's where the durable power comes in.
Yeah, you have to be competent to be able to execute those documents.
So if you don't have the durable power, do you have time to run to court, get a conservatorship appointed, and then apply for Medicaid for someone?
It's much, much, much more difficult because then the state of Michigan gets to stick their nose in. They have to be notified of it, and the state of Michigan doesn't want people to get Medicaid. They want them to spend almost all of their money to pay for Medicaid on their own.
So then you end up almost in an adversarial proceeding?
Absolutely.
But isn't it true today, though, that as long as you've got the basics in place with the right language and the durable power of attorney, can you still protect 100% of the money 100% of the time for the non-nursing home bound spouse?
Yes, we have been very successful in doing that. You know, we never say 100%, but yes, we have been very, very successful in being able to preserve
But
all
that's the
that
thing
money
that
for the
Jim and
stay-at-home
Pat have
spouse.
figured out how to
Right.
do with
But
50 years of experience in doing it.
That's making sure that at the very least you've got the basics in place, because you can't do that for the party who's going into the nursing home unless the right language is in the durable power of attorney, right?
Absolutely correct. And even in that situation, it gets complicated because we have a lot of blended families. Here we're transferring all the assets to the spouse. But what if dad has a couple kids that the spouse doesn't like? You know, they may end up at the short end of the stick.
Yeah, it gets complicated on the planning end, and also whether the parents trust the children when it goes into irrevocable trusts and things like that.
Absolutely.
But the biggest takeaway, if you're watching this show, is the absolute essential document that you must have is the durable power of attorney. And it should be drafted by attorneys that, like us, that know what we're doing. You don't want to you don't want to get a UAW form, or you don't want to get a durable power form off the internet and think that you've covered the situation. The internet has everything in the world, including a lot of garbage. And you don't have the ability to determine when you're doing an internet search and you're downloading a document whether you have downloaded garbage or a perfectly valid document. You need to get that expertise. But if you don't have that durable power, just like you said, then you're in this conservatorship, Jay Leno, you're in the Mavis Leno situation. Mavis Leno doesn't need Medicaid, obviously, because there's plenty of money there. But you're in the same scenario, and you are in a situation where you do need Medicaid because you can't afford $12,000 a month for a nursing home. Average stay is
$13,000 a month.
For how long are they averaging?
Oh, 3.5 years.
It's $500,000. And then what about this? And if you have a spouse, what about preserving the money for your spouse so he or she can live in their home, and she or he may need nursing home care down the road as well?
Power of attorneys and patient advocates don't have expiration dates either. So it just makes sense to get them done sooner as opposed to later. That's why Brian had his daughter sign it when she was 18.
Yep.
Still valid today.
Yep.
So the takeaway is, when it comes to having your loved ones sign a durable power of attorney and a healthcare power of attorney, you want to be like Brian.
Or myself.
Or Jim.
James and William have theirs.
Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.